Hello and good morning, everyone, and welcome to Housing California's Learning Lab, developers and service providers in the trenches, adjusting to the dual pandemic reality. Thank you all so much for being here. Over the last few months, we've all had to adjust personally and professionally to the changing work environment. I know from experience that this has presented many challenges as well as opportunities for us to move our important work forward while responding to the pandemic. Developers and service providers have been on the ground, responding and adapting to the changing landscape. And through this panel and subsequent breakout groups, we will explore some of these challenges and the solutions that we've uncovered over the last few months. Our hope is that you will find today's Learning Lab eye-opening and informative. Today's Learning Lab will begin with a panel discussion, followed by a brief question and answer period. We will then have a brief breakout and then move into our breakout groups. And here are our exciting breakout groups. The property management group will focus on how property managers have adapted their policies, practices, and procedures in the midst of COVID-19, with a focus on compliance, equity, best practices, and advocacy needs. The community engagement group will explore how community engagement has changed during the shelter-in-place period. The group will examine case studies and best practices and how to infuse inclusiveness and equity in outreach. Lastly, the Resident Support Services group will focus on how resident services teams have had to adapt during the pandemic, including how many have executed new service plans to support, educate, and engage residents while keeping them safe. This group will also address the importance of collaboration to stabilize families. And after the breakouts, we will come back together and spend a little time reflecting as a group. To ensure that you are placed in the breakout group of your choice, I'd like to invite you to submit what breakout group you would like placed in our chat. And you will be using your Zoom chat feature. You'll private message Christina Platt, for example, and I think I mispronounced her last name, but Christina will forgive me. You'll enter community engagement or property management as your choice. Please make sure you indicate your selection either now, and we love those as soon as possible, or during the panel discussion. And now, I'd like to introduce you to our panelists. First, Nicole Theus. She is the Director of People Operations for Resources for Community Development. We also have Marcia Contreras, Deputy Executive Director, Mission Housing Development Corporation. Also joining us is Jennifer Wood, Vice President of Bay Area Region, John Stewart Company. And we have Alicia Klein, Associate Director of Real Estate Development, Resources for Community Development Corporation. And I am the moderator today. My name is Dr. Valicia Adams-Kellum, and I'm a board member of Housing California. Okay, panelists, if you're ready, let's get started. And this question that I'm going to pose is for all of you. I'd like for you to tell us a little bit about yourselves, your organization, and at a really high level, what you will be covering during your breakout group. Nicole, do you want to start us out?
Sure, I'm happy to. So I'm Nicole Theus. I'm the Director of People Operations at Resources for Community Development. We are an affordable housing developer, operator, and owner in the Bay Area. And I will be floating around a little bit today to cover HR, organizational topics, and give that lens.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning. My name is Marcia Contreras, and I am the Deputy Executive Director for Mission Housing Development Corporation. And I pretty much going to be discussing with my team, my counterpart, Martino Garte, in the resident services piece, a little bit more about what has transpired since we were hit with COVID and how our services were actually impacted and how we had to be a little bit more creative in our engagement process with our residents. Mission Housing is an affordable housing developer. We focus on creation of new developments, but also we focus on the preservation. And of course, our resident services arm, which is what I consider to be our pride. It's, that's the piece that motivates me every day to come in to work. So that's overall, and we were looking forward for anyone that's listening right now to be joining our group, which is resident services, and I believe we're number 3. So if you want to select your lab, please select number 3 if you want to join our team and come and hear a little bit more about what has happened with the resident services side. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Wood with the John Stewart Company. We manage more than 32,000 units of affordable housing throughout the state of California. And excuse me, and my region includes the entire San Francisco Bay, about 13,000 units. And it's all types of housing. It's affordable housing of many different program types, serving people with special needs, permanent supportive housing, just about any sort of affordable housing you can imagine. And we have been super challenged during these past 7 months or so. And so during our session, we're going to be talking about really what it's like to be a property manager in 2020, dealing with the dual pandemic. I'm going to be joined by Wes Daniel from ConAm, so you'll get to hear our different experiences as well as the common experiences that we've had. We're going to talk about compliance and how compliance is not just complying with programs anymore. During COVID, it expanded greatly to include complying with a multitude of public orders, public health orders, and new renter protections. We're also going to discuss fostering equity and how we're trying to accomplish that with regard to our residents, talking about fair housing, and then our employees within our organizations. We'll share some best practices. We'll share some unexpected challenges, and we'll also talk about some policies and advocacy needs that we have as an industry and for our residents.
Great. Alicia?
Good morning. I'm Alicia Klein, and I work with Nicole Theus, who you heard from a little earlier, at Resources for Community Development in Berkeley, and we do work throughout the Bay Area, creating and preserving affordable housing for to meet diverse needs. And I'll be joined in breakout group number 2 regarding community engagement by our other colleague, Brianne Gala, and we are going to discuss different types of community engagement and how we've adapted during the pandemic and shelter in place. I'll be talking about engaging community around specific affordable housing that we are planning to do early in the local approvals process. And Brianne will be sharing the different type of community engagement around more around community development and neighborhood empowerment. We're both going to discuss lessons learned around outreach and engaging in an equitable and inclusive way. And we hope that we'll get to have a more interactive portion of our breakout where we can also share with each other and you and hear your reactions, ideas, and your lessons learned too. So that's group number 2 for community engagement.
And thank you, Alicia. And I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name. And for those of you who haven't selected, please be sure to put your selection into the chat box. And now for another question. In the context of COVID-19, how do resident service providers, property management, and community engagement staff work together? You can Jump in wherever you'd like.
Well, I can start. I can say that, we've always had a really unique relationship. Property management and services have always worked very collaboratively. So that it's probably not something new. However, with COVID, I believe that our communication became stronger. We engaged with each other. We stayed in contact. We were holding several meetings during the week. Making sure that we were kept informed and how each other, property management and services can support each other. I know that Jennifer may be talking a little bit more about that when she responds to this question, but there's been, with COVID, there were many challenges, that we kind of encounter. How we were going to engage with residents now, how we were going to connect with the residents, and, recertification. I'm sure Jennifer has a lot to talk about that. Cases, situations that were coming up. And so I think that our relationship with property management became very, very more closely, and we were more direct and intentional about how we wanted to support our communities. The biggest thing that we definitely talked about, and I refer to Jennifer a lot, is because one of our largest development is run by John Stewart. So we have a very close relationship with John Stewart. And our biggest concern was the safety of our residents and making sure that we were stabilizing them. This was new for all of us. It came unexpectedly, and we weren't really ready to take action, but we had no other way than to think quickly and make sure that we were addressing the needs of our communities. So I was really thrilled to see how property management and services continue to work very closely together, but also community engagement became another piece as well, because we have also a community engagement arm at Mission Housing, and I'm sure that Alicia can talk a little bit more about that. But what I wanted just to highlight right now is the importance that we stayed together, we reacted, we communicated, we put in place protocols and safety protocols to make sure that we were thinking of every aspect that perhaps we hadn't thought about before. So I felt that our relationship became stronger and more direct and very, our communication became very, very tight.
So I really agree with Marcia. I think that the experience a lot of our property management staff has had during COVID has created a newfound respect for their service partners. I think that, in the past, of course we were collaborating all the time, but we had very clear beliefs about our roles. And we felt very strongly that our role was the housing and their role was the services, the other types of services, everything other than housing. And suddenly with shelter in place, we recognized that there were life and death situations for our residents. There was serious food insecurity. There was access to healthcare. There were all kinds of issues that services needed our help with in order to continue to provide. And we needed them as well. There was, with all of might not sound quite right, but with all of the eviction moratoria and, the campaigns for canceling rent, property management has been quite afraid that we aren't going to be able to cover our expenses, continue to provide security, continue to provide garbage pickup, and all of those essential things that we need to do on the properties. And services has played a really vital role in communicating with residents and helping them, with resources if they needed them, explaining to them what the situation is, that it's not a rent moratorium, but that it's an eviction moratorium, that people who really can't pay don't need to pay right now, but that the property still needs to operate. So in many ways, I think that we have complemented and helped one another to do our jobs during this time. I think that those service stars, the folks that we had admiration before, have just blown us away. Like what we have seen them rise up and do has been amazing. Making sure that residents are not lonely, and that, you know, they have all kinds of nourishment, food, medicine, friendship, whatever it is that they need at this really difficult and isolated time.
Thank you. Could one or two of you reflect on what challenges have come up in the partnering between these various parts, meeting service needs?
I can share that, you know, one challenge we had was that initially property management staff, I mean, here in the city of San Francisco, when the SIP was announced, we actually got a call from the mayor's office to make sure that we understood that we are essential workers and that they expected us to still be on site. So our staff remained on site from day one. And some of our service providers, not all, but some of them immediately went to work from home. And so we had our property management staff in the field at the properties, but the service providers weren't there. And so, you know, it was, and that wasn't everywhere, that was just in some locations, but it was hard to work through some of the emotions people were feeling. So I think managing employee understanding of the situation and helping them get past their own fears to do their jobs and then to work with folks who were able to work from home, those were probably some of the biggest challenges initially.
I agree with Jennifer. I think that when I was thinking about the challenges, I think the first challenge was actually addressing the emotions and feelings of staff. You know, as a services provider, we needed to also reflect on the fact that we needed to support our communities, but also we needed to address how our resident services coordinator, our team, were actually feeling. And they had mixed emotions. You know, number one, they knew they needed to go out. They knew that they needed to be providing the services that our community now needed more than ever. But at the same time, there was that fear of, you know, exposure. You know, at the time, at the beginning of COVID, there was not enough PPE. We couldn't even find a box of gloves. We couldn't find, masks. And, you know, we also thought from the other perspective of, you know, if our team goes out, are we going to be exposing our residents by touching something if they had been maybe exposed themselves, right? We didn't know. There was no testing happening at the time. So there was a lot of issues that our staff were emotionally feeling and going through. However, by the time our team came together and we started analyzing how we can strategically and safely, because I think that was the biggest thing. We were dealing with a pandemic, you know, it wasn't something that it was just a common flu or it's going to go away. We were dealing with people's health. And in our communities, we have vulnerable population, our seniors, you know, congregate housing, you know, how we were going to come into these settings in a safely way, in a safely manner. And I can relate to what Jennifer is saying because, you know, I think that one of the things that we were worried about is that, are we providing the support that our property management team needs right now? You know, and that was the number one question we were asking, and we were thinking quickly and figuring things out. And as you guys join our presentation, again, we're number 3, you will learn how we came about and what did we have to do as an organization and our team to come together to be able to deploy. But again, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to say one last thing, deploy in a safely way. That was the biggest takeaway from that.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to shift to the role of human resources in COVID-19. And Nicole, could you start us out?
Yeah, absolutely. So HR played a critical and pivotal role in our response to COVID-19. I joined RCD in April of last year, and as the first HR leader and professional for the organization and the organization's history. And early on, before shelter in place, our executive director thanked me and said that he was so glad that I was on the team and there to help guide the organization. But the truth was, I had no idea what I was doing. I had never been through a global pandemic. None of us had. And as I reached out to my peers and colleagues, it was the same thing. So it was really learning on the fly and adapting as quickly as possible. And I hadn't been through any trainings for a global pandemic before. So, but absolutely, I think having an HR lens, a compliance lens was really critical in the early days and continues to be really important.
Anyone else want to share with the role of human resources? And I'm also curious, did any of you pull together a COVID-19 task force? And if so, how did that work out?
I can share a bit about our task force as others think too about their org's response. So the first couple of weeks, as I mentioned, things were moving so quickly. I looked back in preparation for this panel. I looked back through my notes, and it looks like I started to jot down notes around March 3rd and do some research on COVID. And then by March 5th, we'd formed a mini task force of myself, our CFO, who's my boss, and our people ops generalist. And then by March 6th, we had broadened that to include our executive director, our director of systems and tech, and our office manager to really sort of look at what was happening. And I think having that range of experience and perspective was really helpful, and it felt like we had all of our bases covered. We considered every part of the organization, but I will note that a missing piece of that initial task force was resident services. We, of course, wanted to collaborate with our resident services team, but moving quickly, it was, these are the people who are available who have that broad lens. And I do wish that we had gone back and included them early on. But then by March 13th, a few days before the official shelter in place order was issued, we had already decided we'd met with our management team and already decided to move to a remote workforce for the most part. So we were a little bit ahead, a few days ahead, sort of writing was on the wall by that point and knew that we had to pivot and get it together. And I'm really, really proud of the work that task force did. I looked at the initial plans that we drafted, and a lot of it is still relevant. Our main concern, as with everyone here, has been the safety and health and well-being of our staff, our residents, our partners, and throughout the plan, that's what we saw. And the guidance for our staff actually mainly still holds, even though we didn't know exactly what was happening. So really proud of that work.
Thank you so much, Nicole. We have about 5 more minutes. And so would anyone else like to weigh in on the question of human resources or task force efforts that were effective?
I will. So our human resources department, during the first 3 or 4 months of the pandemic, were probably the most critical department within our company. Initially understanding our role as essential workers. I mean, we always thought we were important, but this was a completely new experience for us, that we needed to remain on the ground, and doing our daily work, no matter what. And so our HR department had to rewrite all of our safety procedures and protocols, had to stay abreast of not just all of the public health orders, but also all of the sick leave and COVID leave policies throughout the state. So they were really instrumental. We did create a task force very early on. It included our HR director, our COO, and a few other key members of our leadership. All of the new policies and procedures, trainings, and initiatives were vetted through all of our regional VPs. So we were all very busy in those first few months, creating things every day to try and keep up with the newest order from public health officials. The protocols that we had to employ in one city were not the same as another city or another county. And so it really was taking so much time that we realized we can't do anything else. And so we actually hired a COVID-19 coordinator, and we have a person brought on just to deal with our COVID-19 response.
Wow. Any last comments from other panelists?
I'd just like to add that it was super important for us to stay informed because things were happening fairly quickly. And in our case, we were actually short our HR manager at the time. So I had to, running operations, I had to kind of put that hat on and take the lead in making sure that our team felt comfortable and we were staying connected and communicating the changes, researching, joining webinars to keep abreast of what was going on in the city. And we took a bold approach, but we actually sheltered in place a week before the city announced the SIP to take place. And I was actually happy to say that even within COVID, I was able to bring in my HR manager on April 1st, which was tremendous. And believe me, it took me a little bit over a month or so to evaluate how that was going to happen. But I knew that we needed the extra help, and we were able to bring him on board on April 1st. We rolled out a committee as well that was composed of all department heads within the organization, because we wanted to hear their concerns. We wanted to hear how COVID was impacting their line of work. And we rolled out an infectious disease plan that we actually introduced to all of our team, make sure they provided feedback, and we kind of modify it to the needs of each department as well. And then we launched it across the entire organization, make sure everybody also were informed and knew what steps Mission Housing was taking to make sure we were looking out for their safety and their health. I think that that was the main the important piece that I wanted to share. But those were the challenges we endured, and we're here. We're still here. And I also want to say that we're very blessed, fingers crossed, but as of today, all of our staff remains healthy.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. And thank you so much to all the panelists. Now we're going to open up for questions from the audience. And since we are in this very intimate Zoom environment, you can actually unmute and pose your question. Don't be shy. Well, while people are thinking things through, we've had a lot of issues around equity, who can work from home, who has to go into the field. How have you grappled with issues around equity during this time?
I can probably share that our organization, and hopefully Martine will share that in our group discussion as well, but we've done an approach where we understand that services are the frontliners, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they should be the only ones, out in the front. And we have sent several emails throughout our organization asking for volunteers, because we're having to do things in a different way. And so we need more hands on deck to be able to deploy our services. And so we've sent emails out, and we've had from our executive director through to our asset managers to our team from the housing department come out and support our resident services programs. And I think that says a lot, because the work is not necessarily just services. The work is an entire organization for us to be able to support our communities right now. And I think that that's something that I just want to share, that within our organization, everybody has chipped in. Even though everybody has their own responsibilities and duties and deadlines to meet, they were still coming out to support the team.
Thank you. I want to turn this back to the audience. Are you able to unmute? And if so, we'd love to hear from you. Do we have any questions from the audience? And if you're having trouble unmuting, you can actually put your question in the chat box and I'll read it out. Okay, I see one from Jana. Does anyone work with contractors that provide services? Have you generally deferred to the policies and procedures for your contractors for on-site safety? Anyone want to take that?
So we definitely have contracted service providers, and we are asking them to follow all of all of the policies that we've established for the facilities we're responsible for. So we have, some of the areas of our buildings are closed. If there is need for a closed area in order to provide a service, we have dialogue in advance about all of the procedures that are going to be used to ensure safety. In some cases, we've been asked to lend our facilities for things like, and this is just one example, but a polling place, which we think is critically important. But to be sure that the property owner and the residents and our staff and everyone is protected, I mean, part of that process was understanding all of the policies and procedures they were going to put in play for cleaning, for PPE, for volunteer checking, as well as things like indemnification to ensure that the owner's not setting themselves up for some huge financial risk as a result of being generous. So lots of different considerations, but we are definitely screening contractors. We are definitely asking them to tell us their COVID-19 plans before we have them come to the property.
Thank you. And Lauren wanted us to reflect on PPP loans. Did anyone get the PPP loan, and how's that going?
We were not eligible for the PPP loan, and even though many of the properties we manage have very small staff, because those employees are employees of our larger company, we were not eligible.
We were eligible and went after the loan and secured it, and happy that we did that. I think it's been helpful for us, for sure.
Can you tell us how you've used the PPP loan for those who received it?
Sure. So really what it is we haven't laid anyone off. We've managed to cover our payroll and expect to continue to do that. It was helpful in us, our CFO would totally speak more to this, but it was helpful for us in planning this next year, knowing that we had that in the bank.
Anyone else?
We secured also a PPP loan. We actually submitted our application fairly soon, and we were blessed to be able to, receive the funds. And similar like Nicole, we have not laid anybody off, and we hope that we continue to be towards that path. And we're keeping those funds as our safety net in the event that we need to utilize it. We know that we can have that to continue to secure our staffing.
Great. At St. Joseph Center, we also secured a PPP loan, and we were able to use it to supplement pay and to offer hazard pay for some of our staff who were frontline and running some of the PRK sites for COVID-19 type, issues. Mainly, our PRK sites were to protect people over 65 at great risk of contracting COVID-19. So they weren't positive, but it was to keep as many people from becoming COVID positive as possible who are greatly at risk of being hospitalized without that kind of support. So that type of hazard pay really helped to secure those positions. Oh, someone wanted to know about what PRK is, and that's Project Room Key, and that was funded through FEMA, and that was one of the COVID-19 responses to homelessness and decreasing positivity among that population. Has anyone applied for the HUD emergency COVID-related funding for property operations and resident services?
Yes, some of our clients wanted to apply for the funds. At this time, they've not actually received them. But yes, a number of our properties, either through the client or with property management staff assisted with the process, have applied.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. We are going to go into a 5-minute break. Followed by the break, we will go into our breakout sessions. I want to remind you to please chat Christina privately and let her know what breakout groups you'd like to participate in. Thanks to the panelists and thanks to everyone. And we look forward to seeing you in about 5 minutes for our breakout sessions. Thank you. Just a request to the panelists. There was a question from Jill Edwards. If you could look and see if one of you could respond to her question. It didn't come up in time, but I think it's a really good question. Has anyone experienced a decline in finding or missed payments for services? And if that funding was coming from a government agency rather than from property operations? Maybe would one of you respond in the chat? Thank you. Someone able to take that one? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, panelists, are you ready to all enter your breakout rooms for what we have so far?
Yes.
Yes.
And then the rest of the folks that haven't chatted us, last chance to give us your group preference, or else we'll just start putting you into groups. You should be able to return to the main room if you'd like to switch breakout groups. There should be a button in the bottom right-hand corner to switch those if you wanted to.
For those of you in the main room, it is not too late. And thank you to those of you who are still putting your requests in the chat. We will respond as soon as possible. We'd love to have you in a breakout session. Thank you.
Looks like we had a new attendee join. Any newcomers, we're selecting our groups and putting in the chat. I'll put it one more time, the groups that we can choose from. And then folks just let me know what group you'd like to join.
And Christina, let's give it maybe one more minute, minute and a half, and then if we don't hear from everyone, let's just put people in groups because we gotta, we don't want to eat into the breakout room time.
Sounds good.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Wood, and we're going to go ahead and get started with our session, and then others can continue to be added to our room if they want to hear more about property management during the pandemic. I'm going to share my screen so you can see my slide.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer. Let me put you in your property management group.
Oh, I thought this was my group.
I'm sorry about that. I was deciding everybody else and forgot the leaders. Okay.
We thought Nicole was in that group. Sorry, guys. Felicia, do you have a preference of group?
I think for now, I'm hanging out to make sure everybody gets to the groups that they need to be in.
Perfect.
And then I'll get back with you. How about that?
Perfect.
Because there may be some arrivers and I want to make sure they know where to go.
Absolutely. We're putting the rest of the folks in now. Thanks for your patience, everybody.
Doing a great job.
I have 10 folks left, including ourselves, that are yet to be assigned. Looks like I'll start counting. Yeah, it looks like we have 4 folks that I have yet to assign. Go ahead and randomly assign. Copy that. Iris, would you like to be assigned to a breakout room as well? I know you're part of it.
Yes, actually, to start with, just, yeah, put me in property management and then I'll come out after a few minutes and switch.
Copy that.
Thank you.
So right now in this room, it's just Christina, Dr. Adams, and myself, and a newcomer, Lauren Lyon, who I'm admitting right now.
Don and Brenda, did you want to be, or looks like Jill as well? Anybody has any preferences?
Hi, Lauren. Hey, Lauren, I think we're going to put you in a group. Does that sound good to you? And we can't hear you, so you can unmute.
She had said group 2, I think, maybe.
Okay, I think we got your
Yes.
choice of group 2. We're on it. Okay.
Thank you. I had to disconnect and reconnect. Appreciate your help.
Totally. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, and this is Jill Edwards.
But I'm just connecting you to a breakout room.
Hi, Jill.
Right now.
Hi, I'd like to be in group 3, please, to start with at least.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina, you got those requests, right?
Yes.
Great.
Anthony, did we put Jill in?
Jill should be going to group 3.
Copy that.
And it looks like we still have a Brenda Ramos and an A. Jimenez too. Are you guys wanting to be in a group or just want to hang out with us?
Brenda, are you with us? Hey, Jimenez, happy to put you in a group.
Jill, you should have received a notification asking you to join Resident Services Providers Group 3. Please let me know.
Hey, Anthony, can you put me in property management? I'm just kind of floating around through the different groups.
Yeah, of course. Was that you, Luke?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that was me.
Oh,
Cool. No worries. Property
Was that
management.
Felicia? Do you want to go there too?
Throwing you in
no,
there.
I'm okay. I'm going to hang out here to see about the last 2, and then I can start getting jumped around, passed around too. Maybe I'll do the opposite when you all are ready. I'll start with group 3 and then I'll come back and then jump the opposite direction.
Copy that. Go for Anthony. I think that was you, Christina.
The other 2 folks, Brenda Ramos and A. Jimenez, do they have requests for rooms?
I haven't seen requests. Do we want to, I haven't submitted anything in the chat.
No, apologies. I meant Anthony, you've put them in somewhere and they just haven't accepted the assignment, correct?
Confirming that right now. Brenda, I put her in room 2. She has not joined it yet. That's why she's still showing up in our main room. And A. Jimenez, I have asked her to join group 3, but has not joined yet.
Thank you.
And
I think they just like us too much. I don't blame them. They can't part with us.
oh, that's all. Show my camera in the meantime.
So do you want to send me over to group 3?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sending you there right now.
I thought that went fairly well, Christina. I apologize for kind of flipping the script on you earlier.
No?
You know, we organized both these learning labs. One of them wanted to do it one way, the other one wanted to do the other way. And it just, at some point I was like, if this is the way you guys want to do it, let's just do it that way. It doesn't.
Yeah, Anthony's a champ and totally saving the day here. So it worked
Oh, I missed it too. I missed that notification from earlier. I didn't notice the 2 simultaneous accounts. Oh, so we have someone new.
Hey, Susie. Thanks for joining. We just split into breakout groups. I'll put in the chat here what the options are, and you can let us know what group you'd like to join. No pressure.
And Anthony, you can put me in property management. You get a sec.
Property management.
Stay there for about 5 minutes and then maybe go over to, or maybe 10 minutes. I'm just trying to track where Nicole's at, because I don't know that she has a way to get a hold of you, because we need her there for 20 minutes, then she needs to be in another group in 20 minutes.
Copy that. Susie, I got your request. I'm going to send you into community engagement now.
Thank you.
And Luke, you said you wanted to be in property management first.
Yeah.
Looks like I just sent you the request. Let me know if you.
Okay. I haven't got anything yet.
Okay, I'm going to stand by. You might get a request for group 2 first.
That's fine.
And now I'm going to send you back to group 1. Okay.
I heard something.
Oh, because Nicole's going to move from group 1 to group 3. Copy that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Is she moving now?
No, I was looking at the Google sheet from Christina, and that makes sense now since she was listed close there.
And again, I don't know if she has a way to get a hold of you to make sure, other than maybe email. So I just wanted to be in there so I could chat her and then text you if she needed to get out.
Just let her know also how to get back to the main, because I don't know if we can get her out necessarily, but if she comes back.
I'm throwing you back in there. All right. So right now what I'm seeing is Luke Villalobos, Housing California, not joined yet for group 1 property management.
I'm not seeing anything. Before it came me a little notice and said you're going to be pushed, and it gave me an option to accept, and I'm not seeing anything. Is it just like a one and done thing? You get placed in one and then that's it?
Yeah, so I can move you, I can reassign you to a different room right now, but it doesn't let me like bring you back as an individual. So I can reassign you. I'm moving you to group 2 right now, hoping that that would ping you.
Okay.
So it just moved you to group 2. It showed that on my end.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing anything. That's strange.
I wonder if I can draw your co-host permission. Oh, do you see the breakout rooms down on the bottom of your screen?
No.
I'm going to withdraw your co-host permission. See if it'll let me do it now.
Do you want to try logging out and logging in again, Luke?
Yeah, I can do that. So there's another learning lab happening right now as well, right?
Yes.
So who's doing tech on that one?
Gavin and Donna.
Gavin. All right. So we got the 18th. All right, I'm going to log out and log back in.
That's very generous for me. Christina's carrying the extra weight.
Doing
right.
nothing.
I'm jumping out. I'm going to see if that works.
Copy. Are you originally from this area, Christina? From the Sacramento region?
Actually from Southern California, Simi Valley.
Oh yeah, went to school in Ventura.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I like
went to
Ventura.
Brooks.
You've been everywhere, Anthony, all around California, huh?
Yeah, he's the. Oh, here's Luke. Welcome back, Luke. Let's see what this says. All right, I'm gonna throw you to group number 1.
Yep, there we go.
Right on.
I came up here for college and never went back. I like Northern California.
Get the Delta breeze now instead of the Santa Anas.
Yeah, there you go. They're not as mean.
I came back home after living down there for 5 years.
Is it Soraya? Apologies. for completely probably butchering your name. If you wanted to join a group, putting the group names in the chat here. I think I saw you on earlier, so you may know the drill. If you have a group you'd like to join, please go ahead and put the group number in the chat, or you can let us know verbally too.
Okay. Thank you.
You're breaking up a little bit. Okay. So you went back home, huh? After your journeys?
My journeys, yeah.
That's good. I bet your family liked that.
It was going to
Childhood
be
friends.
temporary, and then high school best friend, he had broken up with his college girlfriend as well, and then he started dating this girl, and she introduced me to her best friend, and 10 years later, I'm married to her, and my best friend and her are married.
Wow. So you guys have like the best double dates ever because you're all best friends. That's pretty cool.
And our kids are 1 month apart from each other.
Oh my goodness, that's perfect.
Yeah. My daughter actually just turned 2 today, and her son will turn 2 in a month. So.
Wow, that's neat.
Jackie's joining in right now. Heads up.
Hey Jackie, thanks for joining. We're currently split up into a couple breakouts here. I'll put in the chat what the options are, and you can let us know whenever you're ready. You can put it in the chat. You can let us know verbally, and we'll put you in that group. No pressure. Of course, let us know if you have any questions, Jackie.
I'm confirming that Luke is in property management group number 1. We got in there successfully.
Nice.
Jackie, if it's easier as well, at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's an option to chat. It's right next to the green box that says share screen. It might be hidden until you move your mouse over there. Community engagement, copy that. It might look like your Zoom turns off for a minute, Jackie. It's reconnecting to the breakout room. So I just wanted to let you know that. I saw your chat box though. I'm signing you to group 1 property management right now. Okay, and she successfully joined.
Thank you.
It's texting me. Service provider.
Hey guys, this is Iris. May I switch to another room?
And Anthony, Jackie accidentally got put into property management. Can we put her in community engagement? No, that's okay.
Yeah, Iris, which group are you interested in?
Oh, community engagement's fine.
Community engagement, no party. Sending you now.
Thank you. Oh, just to let you know, I haven't switched yet. Is it still in process?
I got a notification on my end, Iris, that has moved you over to community engagement. Similar. Stand by, Iris. I'm going to try this out.
It looked like she left and then came back, Anthony.
Yep, I'm still here.
Interesting. We had a similar thing happen with you.
Do we have to have them log out and log back in again, maybe?
I think so, yes. I think Jackie.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, guys. If you could log out and log back in again, and we can reset your breakout selection. Sorry about that.
Jackie as well, I'm seeing
I'll be right back.
in the chat box. Alrighty, Iris, I'm going to try again. Putting you in community engagements.
Thank you.
Have CHPC Green Team as well.
Got it.
Yeah, it looks like they're still connecting to audio. For those of us that are just joining us, we're breaking out into breakout groups. I'm going to go ahead and put the options in the chat here. You can just let me know. You can let us know verbally or put in the chat what group selection you'd like. And we have a few more minutes in those breakout groups. And Jackie, if you wanted to hop in a last minute breakout group here, you could just sign off and sign on again for us and reset your breakout selection. Sorry, we put you. Oh, there she goes. CHPC Green Team. If you have any questions, let us know.
Yes. How do I join the property management?
Just we'll put you in there now. It's group 1.
Group 1. Sending you. Welcome back, Jackie, and community engagement. I'm making sure I'm sending you the right one this time.
Thank you for your patience, Jackie.
Okay, she successfully joined.
Nice. So that's good to know. It seems like you can't, quote unquote, switch breakouts. Like once you've already gone in.
Join back in the main meeting. I think they just have to send me a direct message. So once they're in a breakout room, then I can switch them. Some newcomers, Robert Stiebel coming in.
Okay.
steadily.
Yeah. I think they can see us at first. So maybe they're like, oh, maybe I'm in the wrong one because there's only 4.
Mm. I thought Jackie would pop back up for a moment.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I don't see her in any of the breakout rooms. I don't know if she lost her connection.
Yeah, maybe she just left.
And I have the ability to broadcast a message to everybody while they're in the breakouts. Oh, sorry, Gavin. I didn't realize I had my comm open with you guys too.
So it looks like they're in breakouts until minute 90. So at like 11:30 we bring them back.
11:30? Okay, copy that.
So we can give them like a 5-minute warning.
So 11:25, let's set a reminder.
Hey there, I just saw A. Jimenez come off of mute for a second there. We're in breakout groups right now. You can go ahead and resend the options, and you can let us know what group you'd like to be assigned to if you'd like to participate in any of those. And I see we have one more new participant here. Welcome. We have split out into these little breakouts. I'll go ahead and include again the name of the breakout groups. Perfect. Awesome. Group number 2 for our newcomer here. Thank you.
That notification shortly in 3, 2, 1.
Can I be put in group 2 now? That's community engagement, right?
Yes. We are assigning, we got some newcomers here.
Okay, I'll wait my turn.
So Dr. Adams, you may have entered our Zoom void that we may just have found out about. I just tried assigning you to group number 2, community engagement. Did you receive that notification, or is it similar to?
I don't see it. Can you resend it?
Yeah.
So he's going to try to resend it, but we've been finding that like yourself and the staff that are bouncing in and out, it's not recognizing the reassign. So we're having people log back out quickly and log back in again, and it resets the the assignment and then we can plop you in there.
You need me to go back out?
Yeah, if you can log out and log back in.
Okay, I get scared about that, but I will.
Okay, we'll be here.
I'm going to send a message to everybody. If they want to be reassigned, just to message me.
Cool. So you can do it if they don't, like if they're still in the breakout?
The main room. If they're still in the breakout room, I can reassign it. Yeah.
That's good to know. We should write a book, Anthony, on all the Zoom things we're learning.
Oh my gosh. Be a really boring read.
Not to the next person who's going to have one of these.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. Okay. Ya está bien. Ok. Ándale pues. Ok, bye.
Hey, can you move me to 3?
Unfortunately, you're gonna have to log out and log back in.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, we found this weird glitch that I can move you once you're in a breakout room, but if you rejoin the main room.
Oh, bummer. I wish I hadn't done that. Okay, I will do that.
I just sent a message to everybody, probably
Okay.
as you're switching back in. I'm so sorry about that.
Okay, no worries.
We have a couple new folks joining us. Simone. Hi, Simone. We're in breakout rooms right now. We'll let you know which ones there are at the moment.
No, that's fine. I just came from the other workshop to check this one out too. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's okay, I can come back. I know I just jumped in right away. I didn't realize it was going to.
If you'd like to be assigned to a breakout room, there's property management, community engagement, and resident service providers. If you wanted to check it out.
Definitely community engagement because.
Community engagement? Okay, you got it. I'm sending you over there right now. And Nicole, which room did you want to be reassigned to? Oh, sorry, we got you on mute.
I should be in the resident services. I think that's
Resident services number 3. Okay.
3. Yeah.
I'm sending you over there right now.
Thank you.
And then for those of you just joining, it looks like police resident services. Group 3.
Welcome back.
Awesome. And Nina, if you're just joining us, we're
asking for resident services. And police. I'm sorry, it's probably police, not police. It looks like you were in a breakout room earlier, police. Unfortunately, I can't reassign you, but if you log out of the Zoom meeting and log right back in, I'll put you into resident services. I'm sorry, a little bug within Zoom, but I can't reassign you once you join back into the main meeting room. Okay, cool. Looks like you just got my message. Dr. Adams, which room did you want to go into?
Community engagement, please.
Copy that. And then send me a message if you'd like to join a different room, Dr. Adams. Community engagement, you're heading there now, Dr. Adams.
Naomi and Nina, Niana, apologies. If you would like to join a group, I'll put the group names here in the chat. let us know what your selection is.
Kimberly Adams is joining us now as well. Hello.
Kimberly, welcome. We just split into breakout groups. I'll go ahead and put the groups that are available in the chat here, and you can just let us know what group you'd like to jump into.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna, I saw your request. I'm going to send you to group number 2 right now. Stand by. You're going to get
I had meetings this morning, so.
And Naomi, I saw your request for group 3.
Thank you for joining.
I think I would be I work with volunteers. So would that be like community engagement or?
Yeah, that sounds like a good fit.
Yeah, if I could do that, that would be great.
Community engagement, copy that. Kimberly, I'm going to send you over there right now.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And then one last ping for our A. Jimenez that's been hanging out with us. If you have a group selection that you'd like, go ahead and look at the chat. Lots of, I've sent it a couple times. All the groups and the names of the groups if you'd like to join one of those.
Hey guys, I'm popping back in. I've been to property management and community engagement. I can't remember the third one.
Resident services is next, but I think we'll have to have you log out and log in again. If you, now we know that if you chat Anthony, he can switch you while you're in the group, but once you return to the main room, it kind of resets things, but we're just learning that.
Got it. Okay, I'll be back.
Thank you. And the newcomers, Maggie and Megan, we've split into breakout groups. I'll go ahead and include the name of the groups and their descriptions here in the chat. And you'll just let us know what group you'd like to join and we'll get you assigned in there. Let us know if you have any questions. Of course, you could also just let us know your selection verbally if you'd like. And then Anthony, our 5-minute warning is going to happen at 11:35 instead of 25.
Copy that, 35, thank you. Welcome back, Iris.
Thank you.
Margaret, I saw your request for group 1. I'm going to send you over there right now. Stand by, Margaret. I'm sending you that in 3, 2, 1. And Iris, I'm sorry, I couldn't remember which group you'd like to.
Group 3 for Iris.
Group 3, resident services.
Thank you.
Looks like A. Jimenez is in limbo. She's waiting to join group 3, so.
Huh. Interesting. I'm surprised how many new people keep entering.
Yeah. Sounds like they were in the other meeting.
Oh yeah.
Group's messaging me directly. 5 minutes. I'm texting Luke right now. He was curious about banner notifications, and the banner notifications are enabled when folks are in breakout rooms. I was trying to find it while we were in the main session.
So you can, you are able to do it for the breakouts, or each breakout has to do it?
Yeah, for the breakouts, so it'll pop up independently of the chat box.
Got it.
It's just like a balloon that pops up over everything else.
Nice. So what are you doing for, what's your little one's name? The birthday?
Olivia.
Olivia, that's Jenny in our office's daughter's name too. It's a beautiful name.
Oh yeah? Oh cool. Right on.
Yeah, she's I think 10 months.
Oh wow.
11 months, yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, just a baby.
We're doing a backyard pizza party with grandma and grandpa's.
Nice.
And then our one family friend, the trio, the best friend group.
Nice.
That's it. Got to keep it really small, unfortunately, but it'll be nice to have everyone over.
Yeah, it sounds like you got everybody who counts, so that'll be fun.
You doing anything for Labor Day?
I'm gonna try to like get 8 hours of sleep. Like that would be cool. Eat a decent meal without having a stress tummy kind of situation.
Yeah.
So I'm excited
to enjoy it.
Looking forward to it.
Nice. Well, your family down south has been staying safe and healthy, I hope.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. Everybody's in a place where, like, my dad was able to take off work for a while and still be able to go back, and my mom as well. And they have somewhat private working spaces, so they're able to stay away from people and still get to do their thing. And grocery delivery, I mean, it's a whole new world. But yeah, they're plugging along.
I was trying to see if I was able to force A. Jimenez to log off, but it looks like if I remove her, it won't allow her to rejoin. It removes her permanently.
Do you have a put in waiting room option?
That's a good idea. Yeah, I do. I'll do that.
Maybe they'll rejoin.
Admitting them now. Still shows her in limbo with breakout rooms. In a minute, if you can hear us, please chat with us or verbalize if you'd like to go back into the breakout room. We'll walk you through the steps on how to get there. So we have new folks joining us. Hi, Gail. Welcome. We're in breakout rooms at the moment. I guess, never mind.
How's it sounding in the other session? Are they cruising along?
Sounds like it, yep.
Cool.
We're chatter in the background. We'll just Gavin and Donna.
Yeah, you guys got a good system going, huh? You're all just on the line all day?
Yeah.
That's what you gotta do.
Luke is asking to move to group 2. And Dr. Adams is being asked to group 1. Dr. Adams is in 1. And I think I just put Luke in number 2. Okay, cool. We have someone new joining us.
Sounds good.
Caroline and Paul standing by. Welcome, welcome.
Newcomers, we're in breakout sessions right now, so I'll just put in what the selections are, and you can let me know what group you'd like to be put in. Paul, if you didn't catch all that, just put group names in the chat. Just let us know what group you'd like to be put into, and we'll get you all set. Let us know if you have questions as well. Okay, Paul, group 2 for you, and Caroline, group 2 as well. Thanks, guys. We'll get you in there right away.
I'm going to send you guys over to those groups here. 3, 2, 1 for Paul, And Carolyn, I'm going to send you to group 2 here in 3, 2, 1. And we have another couple new folks. The other session is ending right now, so we might get a...
Hey Daniel, welcome. We're in breakout groups right now. I'll go ahead and put the group names and numbers in the chat for newcomers here. We're in breakout sessions. Go ahead and let us know your breakout selection. Check out the chat for the numbers and names for the groups. Thanks, Daniel. Group 2.
For number 2, I'm sending you there now, sir.
Steph, if you'd like to let us know what group you'd like to be in, I'll re-include that in the chat. We'll get you assigned. Perfect.
Steph, I see for number 2, sending you there right now. Stand by.
Hey Cindy, we're in great breakout groups right now, so I'll go ahead and let you know which ones those are, and you can let us know what selection. I just put it in the chat. We got group 1, 2, or 3.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you can let us know verbally or just put it in the chat and we'll assign you.
Group 1 would be nice. Thank you.
Group 1, Cindy? No worries. I'll send you over there right now.
Perfect. And for our newcomer, we're in breakout groups right now. I'll re-include the group names in the chat and you can let us know what group you'd like to join. You can let us know in the chat or let us know verbally at 1, 2, or 3. And of course, if you have any questions.
Good morning. Thank you. Group 2 community engagement would be great.
You got it.
Group number 2, copy that. I'm going to send you over there right now, Janelle. Number 2. And we have a couple more folks joining us right now as well.
And actually, Anthony, while I greet these folks, you give the 5-minute warning.
Copy that.
Hi folks, those of you that are just joining us, we're finishing up breakout groups. You guys want to let us know which group you'd like to be in for the next few minutes here, and then you'll all be coming back to this main room. But let us know group 1, 2, or 3. I just put that in the chat and get you assigned for a few more minutes. And of course, let us know if you have any questions. You can put your selection in the chat or let us know by taking yourself off. Group 2.
PC, I see you. I'm going to assign you to group 2 right now. Stand by. Sent. Okay. They're wrapped in the other one.
Hey David, thanks for joining us. We're finishing up breakout groups just now, so hang tight and we're going to let everybody back in from breakout groups right now.
Okay, thank you.
And Carlos, thanks for joining. We're about to get folks back from our little virtual breakout groups, so just hang tight and everybody will be rejoining this main room. Just 3 more minutes. Hey, Alicia, welcome back.
Hi, so you just want me to have the groups share their reflections in?
We'll be able to bring everybody back at once.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm standing by to do that. We're 3 minutes out, a little under 3 minutes. Stop my video right now, so you can see me when we do that. They send them a 2-minute warning. Luke is asking to go to group 3. At 1 minute.
Hey, Sarah. Thanks for joining. Welcome. We're just about to get folks back from their individual breakouts, so just hang tight while everybody enters into the main room. Just got another minute.
And we're at 11:40. I'm going to close out the breakout rooms. They're going to get a 10-second timer, and then they'll be rejoining us. Closing them out. And they're back.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. We hope that you enjoyed your breakout sessions, and we want to take the next 20 minutes kind of share what you learned. I understand that there's a representative from each breakout room that's going to share what was covered and some lessons learned. Can we go with group 1, please? It's property management.
Did you want to take that, Jennifer, or did you want me to?
Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, so we had quite a bit to cover and didn't quite get through everything that we had hoped. There's so much room for discussion in this. A lot of our conversation was really about staff, obviously staff and resident needs, and how we have to do business differently during this time, but what we can look forward to and how we are planning to do business differently in the future. We probably could have gone for another half hour or 45 minutes and still not uncovered or touched on everything that we needed to.
Anyone else from group 1 want to share? We have a little bit of time.
I would. I was in group 1, Lisa, with Mission Housing. And what was really wonderful to hear is that we all were doing pretty much the same thing unbeknownst to each other. We were all ramping up as quick as possible to provide as much information on our websites to our staff in our community, providing tools like Teams and different platforms for everybody to communicate. And just those lines disappeared. So it just felt good to listen to the collaboration that we were all doing independently on our own, and hear that we're all doing the same thing. So like minds, really supporting each other.
Great. Anything else from group 1 before we go on to group 2? Okay, group 2, community engagement.
I can share a few topics that we discussed in the exchange. Was one, I mean, an advocacy idea is really the need to build into our future developments internet access, and not, I mean, either really high quality Wi-Fi or high speed, you know, cabling, so that going forward, our housing, which is we've become schools for family apartments, that we can meet the needs of the children and other residents. Some good questions that came up that we discussed were how to engage volunteers and different platforms, volunteers when we're all remote, different platforms that work or we're curious about. One person shared that Facebook Live has been a good platform for certain kinds of communication outward. And a question was how to, actually resident services question came up that hopefully, you know, maybe the resident services folks can share a little bit more about in your, when you talk in a few minutes, of how community engagement has happened internally. And one question was, is Nextdoor redeemable as a platform? It seems to be dominated by NIMBYs, but is there, now that folks are really engaging online, is there any interest or desire or possibility of turning Nextdoor into a tool that we might want to use? Brianne, do you want, or anybody else from Breakout 2 want to chime in?
I can go first, and then I'll let John and others think of if they want to add anything. I think a lot of our discussion in many ways, or maybe it's just always on my mind, but is really this the intersection of equity and sort of how, if we're going to be engaging like this long term, do we really make sure that we're creating spaces virtually that that are inclusive and that all people can participate in. So I think some of us will be following up about, like, you know, like my experience, for instance, using like the translation feature on Zoom and just other ways that we can, you know, in some ways see this as an opportunity, right? Like there's a way that, you know, families with young kids can participate more in community meetings now, because you, like, who wants to go during dinner time to like a public meeting or community meeting, right? Like, so I think there's this way in which we were thinking of this as an opportunity to create more inclusion, allow more participation, but that we need to kind of all keep learning about like the various tools that are out there as we go, and kind of are seeing this as an experiment where we're all learning from each other. And then we talked a bit about sort of how the moment, I think using a lot of these tools allows for a shift in sort of NIMBYs and like how, like what can kind of sometimes take place at community meetings when you are planning a new housing development, and how using Zoom allows for, in some ways, a more even playing field where other voices that might be supportive or, you know, maybe introverts are able to sort of participate and engage in a more, in a more accessible way. I don't know. Others in our group, anybody want to add anything?
Thank you. Anyone else want to add from group 2 before we go to group 3?
Just say, with the pandemic, we're all faced with these challenges, and I was very inspired by how many organizations are taking a lemon and making lemonade, like turning it into an increase in equity and an increase in accessibility and an increase in being able to level the playing field. I mean, in some ways, we don't want to go back to business as usual because there's been an added equity, added fairness, added accessibility. And so there's some horrible things happen with the pandemic, but there's some good things too. Great to see.
Thank you. Okay, let's go with group 3, resident support services. Someone else want to say something?
I think Megan wanted to say something.
Yeah, if I could add
Megan,
one thing.
Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. I was just one member of that last, and I just quickly wanted to add the potential for utilizing visual like infographics to include more types of learners through this type of platform, and how important it is to really bring, you know, accessibility to that different types of learning level, how you can really catch kinesthetic and visual learners this way, and how there is a really exciting opportunity with that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And of course, we all know intimately the impact of the digital divide, the fact that the vast majority of families of color do not have adequate internet resources. And so let's keep that in mind, that there is still such great disparities of who is on the front line. The essential workers tend to be Black and brown people who are unfortunately contracting COVID-19 and dying at twice the rate of white people. So let's keep those things in mind. And while some of this feels to be a leveling out of the field, there are still such great disparities that we've seen through all of this as well. So we'll continue and endeavor to push. I love the idea of putting more internet services in these affordable housing spaces and housing and residential places. So group 3. Resident support services.
Yes, I think some of the takeaways that we heard was supporting our community was one of them, that, you know, and the collaboration. We really talked a lot about the importance of collaborating amongst each other. Even in this group right now, we're learning so much from each other that we can take with us. And I think that flexibility, we heard a lot collaboration during this presentation, adaptability was something, from resources. We even had someone plug in a couple of resources in the chat. And I think that there was also questions that came about, you know, how do we foresee funding services if some of the, you know, federal funding maybe kind of go away, you know, so those are very valid statements. But I do agree with what we were talking about here a little earlier about how do we continue to engage and make sure that we are being inclusive and that we're not leaving anyone behind. The language continues to be a barrier, and I think that we need to remember that. There are the virtual gaps. You know, folks don't have the accessibility of a computer or laptop. So again, I'm gonna talk a little bit about collaboration and partnership. You know, we've been blessed to have someone on site at one of our buildings that have been providing refurbished laptops to our folks, so they're able to have access to a computer or a laptop that they can, you know, connect or have their kids even do homework. So I think that that was kind of like the big focus for us. How do we continue to support our communities as we continue to deal with COVID? Because we're not seeing this changing just yet, and how do we continue to look for proper partners that can help us support the needs of the community, our communities and our residents. So that was kind of the things that that came about. And I also want to talk about community engagement and tenant empowerment. That's something that is huge at Mission Housing. And we do work very closely with our community engagement arm. And he constantly reminds us of things that sometimes we even forget. You know, he brings up to the topic of conversation of, you know, how we try this or how we done this. The first time that we launched a virtual meeting with our residents and given them options to get on the phone or have translators available so they can have their voices be heard. It's super important. So that's kind of what we heard in our platform, and I hope that that's helpful.
Very helpful. Elaine had a question or a comment. You put it in the chat as we asked, but you can also pose it. But I think I just heard someone, I'm sorry, someone else trying to raise an issue, question? Okay, all right. Elaine, would you pose your question?
Yeah, and I think that Marcia was like alluding to this. I'm curious on like how communication within the resident buildings, like within the resident communities have been, because like ideally, like, you know, folks should be staying in their apartments for the social distancing. How has that been shifted with the, like, you know, usual way of like flyering or like, you know, having that one-on-one connection? So curious about that.
You know, when we began sheltering in place, and again, going into what plan and what decisions we were going to make in order to, we talked a little bit about our presentation, we named it Closing the Distance. And the reason why we named it that is because everything related to COVID was social distancing, 6 feet away. That's not how services operate. That's like completely unknown territory for us. We are face-to-face type of individuals. We like to shake hands. We like to invite folks for meetings. But I do agree with you, Elaine, that the safety was our number one concern. So what we ended up doing was creating ways for folks to know how to be able to connect with us and reach us. So we launched a campaign. We created what we called MHDC Response. It was an email directly to all of our residents. We made sure that the information was translated in multiple languages so they knew how. And we also expressed to them that it didn't matter if you contacted the main office, leave the message. It didn't matter what language you were leaving it in. It was our job and duty to make sure that we were able to listen to the message, get the information, and then get back to them. The other thing we did is that we launched a phone campaign to be able to connect with the residents, because at the beginning of COVID, folks were feeling antsy and nervous and disconnected and felt like we were not there. And we wanted to be on the opposite end. We wanted to let them know that we were there. We're here. Maybe we're not physically seeing us, but we're going to be connecting with you. And this is how you're going to be able to do that. And so the phone campaign really took, actually, it was very, very successful. We received a lot of feedback, how people were feeling supported and felt relief to know that we were there. The other thing we did was flyering. I mean, the flyering was during our food bank. One of the things that we did not stop doing on a weekly basis as of today is the food pantry. So that was an opportunity for us to be able to insert either our newsletter that, you know, we're actually launching that process right now, where we incorporate a little bit of property management, that they have a piece where they can put any kind of announcements, resident services, tenant empowerment, and then even safety tips. So I'm not sure, Elaine, if I'm hitting all of your topics, but we also launched, you know, the virtual meetings with an option to call in. So you didn't have to connect through a computer. They can call in and they can actually select an option if they needed the Cantonese or they needed Spanish translation, and we had translators lined up to ensure that folks were able to express their concerns. And to be honest with you, the other thing that we did was we did a mindfulness training or workshop to make sure that we were also dealing with the level of anxiety that folks were dealing with. You know, there was a lot that was going on. So that's just in a nutshell, basically some of the things that we kind of focused on. And hopefully that's helpful. Let me know if there's any other questions that I may be able to answer.
That's very helpful, actually, for all of us to consider. And Nicole, I know you didn't run a breakout group, but we'd love to hear from you. Any tips that you have as we round out our time together?
Sure. Yeah, I think most of my tips have been touched on. It's really, at the very beginning, it was important for us to be adaptable, and now it's still important for us to be adaptable and flexible. There's so much that's still unknown and not certain. So we know, a couple months ago, we told staff that they weren't going to be expected to return to the office until January 1 at the very earliest, and we'd reassess in the winter. So we're coming up on that now, and likely that's going to need to be extended because of the situation that we're still in. And our main priority has always been to ensure that staff, residents, and our partners are safe. And so we keep that lens with every decision that we make.
Great. Thank you. We are just about out of time. We wanted to thank everyone for joining us this morning. I think it's all been very helpful and pertinent to what it takes to continue to do our work safely during this pandemic. I hope that you all remain healthy and safe, and we just want to thank you again for spending your morning with us and learning together.
Felicia, could we actually, before we end, I do want to put something on the platform, maybe for future conferences, but I also want to highlight the work, not only from property management, but also from our asset management. They've been a tremendous behind the scene support to our services team. And I want to highlight that. And I don't know how many asset managers we may have on the line here or connected, but I want to say that I'm very thankful for their work. The same thing with our housing department. I know we have Meta on the line, and I know you guys have been very busy developing, and that work can't be done, unless they're focused and they keep moving on with the development of affordable housing, which opens up opportunities for our families that are in need. We have so many folks that are that don't have a roof over their head, that may be homeless. And so I just want to highlight those two other departments, because I know we always talk about services and property management, but let's not forget about our asset management and our housing arm that continues to push forward. And we're very thankful for them as well. I apologize. I know you were wrapping up, but I just wanted to kind of say that.
Thank you so much. And I want to make sure that any other panelists that want to just say a couple of things, or as you leave us, and are there any other comments from panelists? I think that was a really great addition before we leave. Jennifer?
Anyone else? I would like to say just a couple words. I just want to say that because we were having a good conversation, we didn't get to a lot of the meat of our planned presentation. And so I want to invite any of you who are interested to feel free to reach out to me, and I would be happy to share with you the content of, the full content of what we were hoping to discuss, particularly policy or advocacy needs, unexpected challenges, best practices. So I'm open to being contacted if you would like to hear about any of this stuff.
Great. Thank you.
Maybe
Alicia,
we can,
as we shut down. Oh, I'm sorry, Luke. I'm going to give Alicia
absolutely, but can I just
an opportunity?
If panelists are open to that and people want to kind of follow up, if you wouldn't mind putting your emails in the chat box, and then participants, if you're open to that, they can
What a great idea.
Reach out to you directly.
Alicia, anything else as we say goodbye?
Oh, I just want to appreciate everybody. I feel like we are fellow travelers on this, in this, new world, and I really appreciate your leadership and your curiosity, and that we can learn from each other. So thanks so much for your contributions.
Yes, thank you all. This has been a great morning. Thank you.
Thank you for your optimism.